Can everyone hear me at the back? You know, I don't think I need it. Thank you. So, some of us were here yesterday. And I'm here today again. For a second or 2 seconds, stop hearing me, like the gentleman over there couldn't hear me for a second. Let me know. You can't hear me? Oh, but then I will lose your mic. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. I won't shout. Welcome again to those who were here yesterday, and for those who weren't, a very big welcome, and I hope you're enjoying yourselves. The way these things go, to keep it fresh and to keep me sane, basically I just ask you to ask any questions you want, and we just go wherever. And really any questions you want, except one, and that is, why did I change my name? Because I'm really bored of it. I'm really bored of that story. Ask someone next to you if they know. A guy with a baby. You. I'm so sorry about yesterday not keeping up with you, because I'm a very fast talker. And you read lips, which is a talent in itself, but try and read my lips. It's quite hard to do. Yes?
Hi, I was just at your fan club gathering, and I want to thank you for having it, and I want to give you a winter gift because I forgot it, so I want to give you a
Why, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's pretty. Thank you very much. A little star. Just to remind me, because I need all the reminding I can get. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Why is it that when you're on the show you don't have merely the accent that I'm hearing here?
What is the accent you're hearing here?
You sound like you're from England.
On the show? I'll tell you what, it's a source of constant frustration to me, and I'm not quite as authoritative or powerful as Patrick Stewart was on the show. But both Patrick and I spend our entire time, or he spent his entire time, battling the producers to keep him more English, hence data, as opposed to, I believe, data. That was always a big contention. I think he had to almost negotiate with his agents for that. And every time we go into what we call looping, which is, for those who don't know, a kind of post-up, most of the show is, like, for example, all the footsteps and all the weird noises and hums and people walking in the background, and most of our speech is usually overlaid on the show afterwards. I mean, we'd say the lines, of course, and all that, but most of the time there's someone squeaking in the background on those clanky metal rails that they have on the floor. So we have to do the show again afterwards, but just vocally. And in that time, that's when they sneak in all the Americanisms they can, because they think you won't understand me if I speak in like English. And I've always argued that I think you might, just get away with it. One typical example is in the movie, in the show, The Quickening. And I was making what I know Americans call a save. A salve? A salve. Yeah, I thought I knew American. But actually, in England we call it a salve. And I don't know, they insisted that no one would understand if I said it was a salve. But I'm sure you would have done anyway. But that's what happened. So I get edited and censored, and most of my English anglicisms get changed into American.
Not allowed to be.
By the time you get to hear it, to my chagrin, because I'd much rather. I mean, I think it's no secret that Bashir is like from England. Oh, yeah, because he's got a very obvious English accent. But that's the story. That's the reason why. And I'm sorry, it sounds American. I didn't realize that. I have to change that. But I used to have people come up to me and say, you do a really good English accent. In convention. Like, hello everybody, nice to meet you. You do a really good English accent, man. That happens. So anyway, yeah, so feel free to put your hands up and literally ask any question you want. Ready? Steady. Feel free to ask any question you want. And really, it'll just go, so you'll find that I ramble and babble and I become an impossible person, to, especially these people here who don't hear, so that's going to be hard. But the signer here is brilliant, and she was, is it possible to give her a round of applause? Because I'll forget. influence. Working with her every day, seeing her sometimes, and we were actually pretty good friends for a couple of years before we got together officially. We probably got together about a year and a bit ago, and officially, wait, 9 months, right? It is me. But before then, we used to what Americans say called date. We used to date. We don't have dating in England. We just go out with people straight away. We're just going out. And what also fascinates me about America is that you can date any one of a number of people. You don't have to date just one person, apparently. I mean, in LA at least. I don't know if LA's in England. But I'm dating 6 people this week. And, you know, we're all kind of like, how on earth do you manage to date 6 people? But in England, when you go out to dinner with someone, it's understood that, you know, you're courting. I mean, it's very old-fashioned, but to a degree, you can certainly get a left hook if you see anyone else while you're dating one person. So we started dating in an informal way. We'd just go to dinner once a week, or we'd go and see a movie, or I'd just come over to the house, and we'd just talk a lot. Quite a long time, a couple of years ago. And then the show Fascinations came in, and she said that was when it just clicked in her mind that it wasn't really pretend. I was too damn nervous to know what was going on. Nothing clicked in my mind. But that's, I hope, answers your question. I think the gentleman with the yellow t-shirt there had his both hands up a couple of seconds ago.
No, that's time for applause.
Ah, great, thank you. Gentleman here, have his hand up. You, sir.
Yes, I want to know if Dr. Liam back here and his 5 years back are ever going to get married.
Married? That's a long way. I would like it if I just had coffee alone with them. No, I don't think, you know, I've got an odd feeling that for some reason they're not very enamored of the whole Bashir Dax thing, and very early on they decided they weren't going to make it go. Now, I think for the first few while, for a while, it was a kind of cynical attempt to make it into a kind of a ratings filler, if you like. You know, like one of those Dallas things. They're always not going out, and they're famous for not being with somebody. So I think that was what it was intended to be at the first. But then they realized that was kind of soapy and corny, and they didn't want to do that. And they thought the best thing to do was to make them just best friends, just good friends. So I think she's looking in Waterbury. I'm not sure, but it seems to me that that's not going to please her. There's a group called the J&Jers. Maybe they would understand that. But I imagine they'll be crossing paths at some point, in more ways than one.
And we all know that you play Dr. Butt. I'm kind of curious on a personal...
I played a Dr. Butt. We all know that you play a Dr. Butt. Cultural interference.
One of it is, do you have any personal interest in medicine or science because you play a doctor?
I've always had some personal interest in medicine and science. I mean, remember when, you must have done this, when you were at kind of college level in your life, and you went around to some friend's house who was studying to be a doctor or something like that, and there were all those great books. You know the books I mean? They're like dermatological problems, and pancreatic problems, and all that, and you like flip through them, and it's like some sort of obscene kind of fun you get looking at these awful, awful things. So I kind of was always fascinated in a sense at that, and looking up and checking out what all these awful things that happen to everybody were. I don't know why, but there's some kind of perverse thing. So I always had that kind of interest. I never really did, I tried to do, when I first started the show, I tried to do a little bit of doctoral research, as actors like the kind of rubbish that they try and do. All these actors say they do so much research, it's like, yeah, right. I don't believe a word of it. But I tried to make, the 24th century medicine is so ridiculously unlike 21st or 20th century medicine that it made no sense anyway. The only thing I could do was maybe look up what a ganglion was in a book and maybe find out what that was. And there was a sort of, there was a correlation there. medical expert there, who kind of okays the final script and says, yeah, you can say ganglion in that context and it'll be fine. But that's about as far as I go. I don't have any more. I don't hang around hospitals or anything like that. It's like, you know, it'd be really morbid for me. Besides, someone might have some people do, you know, someone might actually go, fix me on broken legs and all that, so I can't help. The last 2 times I've been on an aeroplane, in fact, both times they've asked, is there a doctor on board? Some poor person collapses in row 50, and I'm like, I can't help. I have no idea what you're talking about. Do you want my sandwich? I'm willing to share. So no is the answer. Somewhere else there. Yeah, you.
I'm wondering if you would, if Pierce Brosnan retired, would you do James Bond?
I've heard a lot, that's very nice of you, but I've heard lots of, there's been some jokes on the set when I was doing that show that were saying, you know, you make a great Bond, we've got to get rid of Pierce Brosnan somehow. But I don't know how it would work. Certainly not the late Cubby Broccoli, but whoever produces these things now would have probably like, well, he looks kind of Indian, doesn't he? I mean, this is like a quintessential James Bond guy, and I'm like, the name's Bond, James Bond. Can we shoot that again? You don't have to do the Indian accent. It's not good and it doesn't suit you. But if that unlikelihood were to arise, I'm sure I'd have a pop. Everyone else had. Yes. How did I feel about Worf coming on the show? Loved it. Didn't mind at all. I heard Rick Berman rang in the middle of the hiatus, and I thought, oh God, I've been fired. Finally, the rumours are true. Every season there's a rumour about Bashir leaving the show. What is that? But before the season is finished, they're saying Bashir's going to leave the show at the end of the season. Dream on, whoever that person is. But I loved it when Michael came on the show. I liked the fact that he brings, I was telling people yesterday, I love the fact that he brings a kind of machismo. And I know it's kind of obscene and way over the top machismo, but I liked it. And I think we needed that on the show. Just a little kind of, just totally bullish, go in there and beat the hell out of everybody and come out. And that's his thing. That's what he does brilliantly. So he kind of lives on the Defiant. Isn't that weird? I'd rather sleep on the Defiant, sir. Fine. No wonder he feels out of it. But anyway, he wants to do that, so he does that. I think the only thing was that I've been, certainly with my affiliation to NAR right now, the only thing I might have gone, well, I don't think that was a very good idea. I think he kind of superseded her in rank. And she was a great second officer. And although she is still, she is still the second officer. It seems the first officer. It seems odd that kind of Worf is always combating her for that. But I mean, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but every time Bashir and Worf are there, certainly Worf has an idea about something. He says, "I think we should go, shoot them," basically. Bashir says, "I don't think we should." Sisko ponders it for a couple of seconds and says, "We'll go with Bashir." Really annoying Worf. That would annoy me. But Michael himself, as you all know, because I'm sure most of you have seen him at some stage or another, is the most sweet, affable guy. I mean, it's unbelievable difference between him and his makeup. It's weird. He's like a kind of puppy. He's a terrific fella, and not a trace of that testosterone kind of overload that he has in the thing. And he puts his voice, he has this staggering ability, he speaks normally, and he has this staggering to put his voice down like 8 octaves when he does the show. But he's pretty intimidating. Just. So, yes.
Why is it that a doctor is one of the best shots in Starfleet?
What's that? Oh, shots! Got it. Maybe that's some weird Americanism I haven't understood. It's actually English. Well, actually, he was. The doctors are kind of famous for being pacifist and McCoy and Beverly Crusher and all that. But he loves all that stuff. He loves getting in there and shooting up with everybody else. Should have shown me where they are, man. Poor guy. I do that every day. Every time I talk, there's something really. Anyway, it's the first today. What was yesterday's? I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, the blue behind. Is the blue behind here today? We're racking him up. I think he should be, because he's like one of those keen cadet kind of guys who just finished. He's been through all the training and stuff. He should be a good shot. Because I think I haven't shot a gun for years. But when I was a kid, we had to do it at school. We had a thing at school where we all had to join the army, because it's like an English thing, and it's called the Cadet Corps. And all these kids, I think we were all about 14. The head of our house, if you don't understand what I mean by that, it's like the kind of sub-school captain. One of the school captains running. The school is divided into several houses, because we all slept there, and I think it made sense to call it that. And he came in, and he was the head of the CCF, which is the Children's Cadet Corps force. And he would just come in and say, right, you're all volunteering to be in the cadets this year. So starting with you, Sid, and you. So we give them uniforms and berets. I've got photos somewhere. Pretty sad. A little boy with an oversized gun and a huge beret. And what we did was square bash. For those in the army, they know exactly what that means. And we just drilled all day, marched everywhere, and how to march perfectly. I can't remember anything else. But we did have to shoot with these old World War II rifles, 2.2 caliber and .3 303s. I remember getting second-class marksman. Doesn't sound very good, but it was pretty. I mean, it was a big deal. I think it was 80 out of 100 points. Shooting a target about 3 feet away. You, sir, right at the back. You're gonna have to shout it out.
There was an episode in which there was a fake dance character at the beginning that makes dance this year.
Oh yeah. You notice that was I think it was Wishes for Horses, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, there was. It was. We reread the script and there were rewrites, and we didn't get it until the rewrites until later that we found out that it was a fake character. We thought, it's happening. We can finally tell everybody it's happening, and we get it out of the system. And then they change it, and it's actually the fake guy who does it. It was quite tricky. She's pretty. She goes for it. She was great. She was terrific. The one problem I had was I kept falling off the bed. I was like there. I don't know if you saw it. I kind of opened my eyes and there she was, and I was trying to get her off me or whatever. And she would kiss her way up my arm or something. I think in early takes she would start kissing me, went my hip down my arm. And as soon as she got to my neck, it was like, fall off the bed. That's the only way I could get them to do it more than 10 times. What is it about acting that you can actually do these things and somehow it's sort of legal? It's all right. It's fine. I mean, how do people I can't remember their names, but the woman who was in 9.5 Weeks and her husband, the guy who hits people. What's his name? Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger, and her husband now. Who's her husband? How do they live with each other? Because every other day they see each other in a new movie with someone else. Freaky stuff, I would have thought. I don't think it's any easier. Of course there are 40 people wandering around with tape measures and makeup, and you're like, so, wait one way home? Okay, let's have it there. Yeah, and we kiss around. Okay. Looks great on film. Yeah.
Mr. Robinson is a fantastic actor, and you play opposites him a lot.
Yeah.
You're so animated here today. You seem to always be attempting to upstage. Is this part of his persona as an actor?
I'm not allowed to say that kind of thing. He's one of these great camp Kardashians, you know. And it was his look at it. I mean, that's the way he does it. It's not, he doesn't mean to upstage me or anything. I don't think. I try to figure out. But he just is big. And Bashir is relatively small in his acting. Kind of the way Bashir acts is kind of small, low-key stuff. And Andy is huge. So he doesn't mean to upstage me. I'm kind of pissed that he does. I'm trying to remember that next time I have a scene with him. But he'll be sitting there at the table, I'll be sort of getting up and put my face in front of the camera. Son. His name at the moment is Nemo. But Jules Verne character, and that's his name at the moment. But you know how these kids just like they have a name when they come out apparently. You know what it is when you see them, and so I'm waiting for that. If not, I'll just wait for him to tell me. Maybe he'll be 3 or 4. It's like, oh, I finally learned how to speak. My name is Sebastian. Alright, I'm sorry. But never call me Nemo again. I have no friends, no life. Okay? Try to speak every day to me. What do you want, young man?
Are you happy with your job with Star Trek?
Yeah. I'm happy with it. I'm still here 4 years later, and I'm happy. And it's one of the greatest gigs you can get on TV if you're an actor. And because you kind of know you have already, there's a huge following of people who love the show, and they give you kind of a hard time if you're not very good, and they teach you how to get better, which is terrific.
Here's another question. Are you happy with the amount of money you're being paid?
No actor is ever happy with the amount of money they're being paid with. You should know that. You should know that. Your father is not happy with the amount of money he's getting paid. Nobody is. It's one of those things. People who are I don't know, they're probably not working. And don't want to be. Yeah.
In one of the episodes, the doctor was powerless to help Odo. Did you ever get a chance to get a good grasp on the physiology?
That's kind of wacky stuff he's got in there, man. That's like glue. And you don't want to get too close to it or anything. I'm learning little bits and pieces. I don't know what it is I've learned. It's he's alive or dead, and I know that. And if he's not well, I can go, well, he's not well, and he probably won't be for another 10 days or something. But that's all I know. No, I don't think I'll ever. I think that's one of the enigmas of Odo is that he's when he gets ill. That show must have been shown. When he gets ill, it's like bad. You know, he turns into glue again. It's horrible. So that was, we weren't sure whether we had a big debate during the show when we were making that show about because we had to move him along and he was like dripping, you know. Did those bit like follow him? They'll be back in a minute. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's my arm. Don't worry, that's coming back. Okay, please leave a line for Odo's body parts. I would have liked to have seen that, but unfortunately they didn't do that. I think there was something in one of the Terminator movies when all the bits like got scrabbled back into one piece. Yeah. Hi. Well, you know, I don't know if he ever really hated my guts. He just loved to hate me. And they're kind of playing off the English-Irish thing and the upper class, lower class thing, all that. They're playing all those things. And I love it, the fact that there's someone, you know, in the bar and we go down there and we do these crazy things in the holosuite. I have no idea. I'm waiting for the show when we actually are pilots in the holosuite. Because that'll be fun, you know what I mean? It's like every day. We're coming out with a new, like, ox on our back or something. And we're talking about the Irish that we fought and all that. But it's about time we actually did one of those things. I love that, and it's great fun. And it's really like, it's one of the only things, that relationship is really like being in the army. And it reminds you that these guys are in the army, actually in the Navy, but it reminds you they're in some kind of armed forces. And so I love that part of that relationship. Because everything else, you kind of forget that Starfleet is armed forces, you know. And I mean, apart from some of the haircuts are totally unarmed forces. Mine, especially, sometimes weird. Sometimes it gets Elvis Presley. I hate it when it gets Elvis Presley. Right, this season, you'll notice the first couple of shows this season, my hair is, it's like Steve McGarrett. Hawaii 5'9", you know. Cooking cookie, I don't know what they call each other. Hawaii 5'9", I was taking a little joke. 5'9". It's alright, thank you. This question's over this side of the room.
What happens if you walk into the rowdy part of the park?
You bet. Just this area. Yes, sir.
In the early episode, Laura, how did you enjoy flying?
Good fun. Good fun. Enjoyed that. We were on a harness, and they were like a twin harness. Most times you get like Peter Pan things, you know, you get a string in your back and you're like, oh. But we had this thing, and there were like people above who were navigating us. And this wonderful thing about the twin harness, but the only thing you couldn't do was turn left or right very easily, unless you were moved by the people, the puppet masters above you. We could only spin. And you had to learn how to do it. When I first got on there, I was like, good to see you, Melora. And finally, you get your balance again. We took about a day learning how to do that. And then finally it was fine, it was great. And they had to put the strings it was the most expensive process there. That's why she was going to be an original character, that character. She was going to be one of the characters on the show. But I think all the flying she would have done, the strings are the most expensive thing to get rid of. So that's why half the movies you see, they've run out of budgets or something. And you can still see the strings in some shots. Because they've got to go in every frame and rub it out. They've got to every single frame, and that's like hundreds and thousands of hours to get rid of it. I'm exaggerating. Hundreds of thousands. But a few more than they'd like. Yes, madam.
I asked Edgar Robinson this question last year, so now it's your turn. It seems to me that earlier on in the Garrett-Bashir relationship, Garrett was trying to be a little more than friendly with Bashir.
I heard that. I'm still paying for a lot of that.
So, okay, I mean, I guess, and then I went out there and I deal with a horrible literature about Garrett and Bashir. No.
Well, horrible depending on which side of the fence you happen to be on. But yeah, it was, I think, originally like that. I mean, I don't think Bashir was, but I think Garrett was. And that was also part of Bashir's naivety. He didn't get it at all. And you notice when he's sitting down in, I don't remember which show it was. I think it was either Past Prologue or Man Too Far or whatever. Early show, when Garrett is walking past him, and he's sitting on a table, and he's like, it's the first meeting, proper meeting they have. And Bashir's like terrified with this guy putting his hand on his shoulder, and they're like, what is going on here? I think that was one of the explanatory scenes for that. But it died pretty quickly because there was nowhere for it to go. I mean, it just wasn't. You have another question? This better be a good one. Two more. You know, if you want to ask a question, you have to run up to the very end. You have to hit that guy and you run back here. You spin around and you jump. Then you can ask a question. Go. I have no power. I'm sorry, I was just thinking out loud. I have absolutely no influence. No, you don't have to do it. Potential power, the threat. Sorry.
Do you get a lot of fun exercise out of working on Deep Space Nine?
Yeah. You asked that question already. I love that. I love working on it. Oh, I was talking. Silly me.
A lot of the crew members go into the future, and you see yourself being the captain of the Defiant.
So I want to do an episode when a lot of crew members go into the future and I see myself being captain of the Defiant.
Yeah.
You bet. Why the future? It'd be great. Yeah. There was a show once though. When Dax and I were kind of aged, and it was I think The Visitor, and you already kind of saw this rather elderly Bashir, kind of gentle, sweet, doddering man who wasn't captain. So I think maybe that is the future. So I think he doesn't make it. I think he just like becomes kind of a retired doctor guy. An alternate future. Yeah. I'm already a captain in my alternate future. We all are. I am. I'm a vicious, psychopathic kind of... He looks like kind of My Pony. You know what I mean? But he's a vicious psychopath anyway. Yes?
Do you play darts on the set a lot? Do you have to play darts a lot of times?
Yeah.
Off on the side.
Well, I never do. We had this guy, no, is the answer, but because the dartboard is so weird. Yeah, all those like lights and things. It's an impossible dartboard, and the darts are always like blunt. Darts have to be really sharp. But we had this guy come who was Mr. Darts expert. Okay, that was the first time. Every time we do anything, of course, we get an expert in. Whenever I do CPR on someone or something like that, they have an expert come in to show me how to do CPR. And as if I'd forgotten because I did it 3 weeks before. But the darts expert came in, and he was one of these guys with a kind of check shirt and a big moustache and I guess it was a kind of survivalist's cap. Fresh from hunting deer somewhere. And he came in with his darts and he had his rolled up sleeves and tattoos and he was like, I'm the darts expert and everything. I can't do the accent, but and we're like, wow, okay, great. Show us the. And there was one shot where he was supposed to hit the double 20 at the top, and that was the last shot. And so he was like, okay. And everybody was hushed because it was the darts around. Threw the thing, the dart completely missed. And he couldn't hit the board at all day. No way. He couldn't hit the board. In the end, one of the crew members had to hit the thing for him. And that was great. But that is our darts expert. No, actually, I wonder if there's auditions for darts experts. There aren't. There should be. Yes, ma'am.
This question comes out of something that you answered earlier. Why do you think there needs to be more testosterone?
I did, but it arrived. I used to think there needed to be more testosterone on the show, but it arrived. It wasn't so much that I thought, every day we've got to get more testosterone on the show. I don't know what's going to happen. We haven't got anyone macho and it's useless. So it doesn't work. But I didn't think that quite so much. But when I heard that Wolf was coming, I went, that's how I just felt. Oh, we could do it. With this movie, great. I don't mind. And he kind of brings it too. We had some, obviously we're shooting shows right now. They've got a kind of what I call comedy Klingon shows, because everybody's like Klingon everywhere, and they're all bumping into each other and swilling beer and making loud bodily noises. That's what Klingons do, and you have to take it. You have to like it or not. So and they just literally beat the living daylights out of each other all the time, and they love it. And so I was reading this script, and I'm just getting to understand Klingons because, of course, it's new on our show, and I didn't watch enough The Next Generation to really understand the whole mentality thing. But you say hello to someone and you hit them, and they like it. Thank you very much. You're a man. You are a man. I don't think we've got much to learn from them, to be frank. Yes. The stereo. 1 second. I'm going to take this question. I'll come straight to you. Go for it. Chow, yeah. Rosalind Chow ever going to join the cast was the question. I think she's about as much in the cast as she's going to be. I think regular characters, they don't really like, even Andy Robinson, for goodness sake, isn't in the cast yet. And he's been on more shows than I have. But he's still just a kind of the recurring character, they call him. They don't want to pay them any more money, so they don't make them join the cast. That's basically the answer. So I don't think Rosalind will in our lifetime. Yes, back there, who got bumped out. Sorry about that.
I just wanted to ask, referencing the 1997 Deep Space Nine calendar, you're not in the cover.
Yeah. Bummer, huh? Actually, what happened was I was telling people yesterday, I had a fight with the merchandising people at Paramount, and we're all supposed to get, it's a long, convoluted story, and it's incredibly dull, because why should you get paid any more money? But they send all these things out with your face on it everywhere, and dolls and stuff like that, and they tell you at the top of the show, you're going to get paid, actually I'll tell you exactly what it is, 2.5% of 50% of the net after legal expenses. So I read that, went, fair enough. Simple. And I don't know what that means, except it means I get nothing. And everybody else too. I mean, Patrick Stewart, to give you an illustration, got a check after 6 years on TNG for $64 for all the merchandising that has been out there. Now, that's only that's okay if you're not expecting to earn anything from it. But when you start the show and you go, and they go, you know, you're going to earn some money from all this stuff, and you go, okay, fine, there's a contract, I'll sign it. But they don't do that, and they're very clever about it. People will heard stories about people suing Paramount Studios like Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump apparently made no money. This is probably very dull, but no, when someone tried to sue them because some guy was roped into getting a bite of the net, as they call it, he, by the end of the studio turned around and said, oh, Forrest Gump didn't make any money, I'm sorry about that. And he was like, what? Forrest Gump just made $500 million in 2 days. What are you talking about? Well, I'm afraid we said we'd give you money, you see, net money after expenses. And all the expenses, the movie cost $10 million to make or $15 million to make. It made $350 million in America. This is incredibly dull, but I'm having to go through with it. I'm that committed. God, gotta finish this story quickly. Anyway, he got bummed out for all that money. So I just said, well, if you're not going to give me the money, then I won't turn up the photograph and you won't be able to sell it. And that's how it worked. And everybody was my friend for about 2 minutes until I really said no. They were like, come on, Sid, you're a great guy, we love you. The kind of president from the studio came down and was like, yeah, I know you don't mean this, man. You're probably just a little shaky. Come on. I was like, nope. And they were like, well, we hate you, man. We hate you. And as far as I know, they still do. I'll be in this year's photograph, though, otherwise I probably won't be in this year's show. Yes, sir. You asking to change the name question? You've got to run up to the end, you've got to hit that man. You've got to jump up and down and spit. Yeah, I did change my name. I actually changed it last season. And it's really me. It really is. They haven't fired me and hired someone who looks similar. It's me. Yes, sir.
What do you think is the difference between British sci-fi and American sci-fi?
The difference between British sci-fi and American sci-fi is quite easy. Up until now, certainly, the British sci-fi has always been, I mean, it's usually, well, how do I put this? You know the kind of liquid detergent bottles? And a little bit of cotton wool and red paint. And a little string, and you throw that on the stage, and you film it, and that's a rocket taken off. That's pretty much British sci-fi. Up until Doctor Who, whatever it is, that's always been like, you can see someone's hand, like, and the Daleks who go along and bump into the furniture, like, oops, and oops. British sci-fi is there. But it is much more tongue-in-cheek. That's one thing I'll give it. It's always because the British like to pretend they hate sci-fi. It's like pretty much everybody actually. Everybody likes to pretend they hate sci-fi. But when the movie comes on with sci-fi, everybody goes for it's the biggest blockbuster of the century, you know. So the British think it's always for children and they won't watch it. Except they put their children in front of the TV who have no interest in it because they're like 6 months old. Yeah, watch this. So I think that the difference is that there's a kind of anal retention that the British like to have, and they watch sci-fi that way. And the Americans are pretty much kind of open about it. Most of them. I mean, there are lots who aren't. And also they're very high-tech, that's the difference. I mean, there's great shows like Red Dwarf, which you can't repeat in America for some reason, I don't know why. Why do you think they can't repeat Red Dwarf?
They carry it on PBS.
They can't take, they what?
Carry it on PBS. PBS.
Oh yeah, they've got Red Dwarf here, but they can't, they try to make one, remember Terry Farrell was the cat?
Yeah.
Which kind of totally blew it, because, I mean, Terry Farrell would have been great as anything else, but then, you know, it's kind of important. So they somehow can't make those cross. I don't think Americans like to laugh at sci-fi as much as the British do or something. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm trying to answer that one. I'm totally not an expert. Yes?
If the two Bashir ever got together, the one from the Mary universe, the one from our universe, how do you think they'd get along?
Good question. I think there'd be a fight within about 30 seconds. I think the Bashir from the non-mirror universe would win. And the reason why I say that is because the other one is kind of stupid. He fancies himself and everything, and he's arrogant and all that. He's got all that stuff going on, but he's kind of stupid. And he doesn't get it that when, you know, he threatens Cisco that he's going to get hit for it. He's going to get a big hit for it. And I mean, the last hit he gave Cisco, which I hear looked dreadful, but yeah, it's like, anyway, whatever. The last hit he gave Cisco, he's going to get paid back for that in the next Mirror Universe show, whatever that is. I think I quite like to have him change. I'm going to have him have really short crop blonde hair, really peroxided. Might as well go always. And then he has glasses on Star Trek, but I'd like to have some mirror sunglasses as well.
Any clue if Morn will ever speak?
Morn, I think the last show of the last season, the last take of the last show of the last season, someone will sit next to Morn and say, well, Morn, what's it all about? He'll turn around, he'll open his mouth, and they'll finish the show. That's my understanding. Yeah, that poor man is, he's an extra, still on the show, and he's still never been Paramount, man. Someone has to take them and give him a good whack. Yeah.
They seem to be bringing families on. They showed Cisco's father, they showed Quark's mother, who's supposed to be on again.
Right.
They showed Worf's brother. Are they going to show any of your relatives or Kira?
I hope so. I mean, I don't know what happened to Kira's relatives, because I've never even heard tell of them. Concentration camp? It can't still be going, can it? This concentration camp? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's like kind of, yeah, some sort of thing like in Japan or something, like 60 years later there's still camps going. We have finished the war, by the way, guys. What? If we might get to see Kira's, I'd like to see ours. I think there's been a kind of continued debate over the seasons about whether or not we find Bashir's father and see just how abused he was. Or whatever. I mean, I don't think he's going to be abused, but I mean, we'd like to meet Bashir's father, and he's got some siblings and some stuff around, which is kind of handy, so I wouldn't mind meeting a few of them. I'd like to see who they cast. It's going to be quite tricky to find, like, all the people who look like me, but I'm sure they're around. But they you know, it's my sister and my father, but they might, I don't know what they'll do. I'm interested to see how they'll manage that. I remember, God, that reminds me, there was a movie called Dangerous Man. This is how I ramble. And there was a scene in that movie where I had to ride this horse, and it was great fun riding a horse. It was a big horse. Basically I rode this horse, but my horse had a real problem with flatulence. And you know how horses do, they have that problem, you know, it's not funny. But they have this kind of wonderful way of, it's like, they kind of do it on an outbreak. And it's like kind of staccato. And we didn't have the kind of technology in the movie to do anything clever with it. And so my horse was just like... And Ray Fiennes was in the movie with me, he was trying to speak his lines. Like, and so finally they put a horse on, another horse on who didn't have this problem. I don't know, he hadn't eaten beans that night. I don't know what they feed horses, but they brought in another horse, and it was a bigger horse, and I wasn't authorized to ride it. So they put a stunt double on, and this is something you'll notice a lot in the show, but they put a stunt double on. The stunt double, they hadn't quite figured out exactly who I was somehow. I mean, I was starring in the movie, but they just hadn't done the kind of, well, we better find a stunt double that looks like him. But a stunt double that had red beard. Red beard, it was very red face, and red hair, so they put like Arab stuff around him trying to hide him. But if you ever notice that movie and you see someone galloping, if you ever see this movie, I don't know if you ever will. It's a fat chance, I guess. But if you do, watch the thing, you'll see the guy with the red beard, and when you see me, it's a flatulent horse. I actually did one scene on someone's shoulders who was just wobbling around to make him look like It was the assistant cameraman who was one of the clapologists, but probably the worst day of his life, because for some reason, after all this, he couldn't help it. Just the strain of lifting me up there. So that was a nightmare for him. Anyway, I don't know why we'll go on to that. Yes, ma'am. I told you to come and ask that question. Good for you. How did I become an actor? I became an actor, I was telling people yesterday that I kind of became an actor by mistake. And I kind of tried to tell you that. But this lady was, I was sitting outside before I came in, and she was like wandering past, and she said, I can ask you a question. I said, save it for the thing, and she did. So they were looking for Arabs to be in one of the shows. There was a long TV series in England called The Big Battalions. And that was pretty much all that was big about it. And they showed the show, but they needed an Arab actor, and they advertised in the newspapers everywhere, and they couldn't get any, so they finally made me do it. They asked me, they basically just gave it to me. They said, you do it, I don't do any audition or anything, and that was great. One more question I've been told, sorry about this. And that's how I became an actor. But if you want to be an actor, you really have to, A, get to college, which is a kind of boring, kind of grown-up thing to say, but you desperately need something to do when you don't act, because that's most of the time. And then you have to go to an acting school. All right?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Henry, I'm going to get 2 more questions, because they're both here. Madam.
How about Johnny Mathis?
Johnny Mathis. I've heard that a lot. I mean, I don't know what you think of Johnny Mathis, but I just don't want... I like him, he's a sweet guy and everything, but I don't want to be recognized as Johnny Mathis every day. I can't sing as well as him either. I tried. Yeah, he might make a good father. Can he act? No. You. I bet he can. Yes, sir.
Are there plans for another Mirror Universe episode? They seem to imply it.
There'll always be another Mirror Universe episode. There'll always be one. And this time you'll see some guy with short blonde hair and glasses. Thank you very much indeed.